Rings. Which one is? Tonight's broadcast brought to you by Complete Insanity, or by the fifth dimension, or some kind of dimension. So this is Orion invasion of Earth. Memory Earth. I guess I should have wrote that up a little better, but anyway, Orion or invasion of Earth memories. I guess it'd be like slash shadow work on steroids. Pleiadian channeling. So some people have shadow work when they can sort of bad in their past life, or they stole something or whatever. But some of us have had lifetimes where we take over planets. And I'm starting to remember my lifetimes of taking over worlds. That's been brought up through other, the radio show I used to have and things like that. But I'm starting to actually remember it little by little. You say, oh, because today I was at work from 5 a.m. or 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. standing all day. So I guess when you go through something like that, I've done that in the past, but it's like, why am I going through this again? So I used to do that in the past, and the whole virus thing hit, and then everything got shut down. Now it's kind of retarded nowadays. But anyway, so I remember my past life energies of, I believe I have a connection here on this planet of manipulating its energy. So I'm going to bring that. Everybody needs a niche, like a different, this is what makes me different than everybody else. That's fine. So that's why I'm a little bit different than most people doing this type of work. It's like you remember how to shut down a planet, but you also know how to awaken it. And we're part of the awakening part of it. So it's going to get weird. I don't know when that's going to happen, but who knows? Nobody knows the future. For the awakening part, you can do on your own if you're willing to do it. If you're ready, most people aren't. Is be aware of the beings that are here enslaving the planet. Doesn't mean you have to be possessed by it or anything like that, but how many are really ready to explore like creature beings that are manipulating the planet, or reptilian beings and so forth? There's not just reptilians, there's all kinds of stuff here. It's not good. I mean, there are good beings here, but the ones enslaving the planet are not good beings. So are you willing to see that part of it? This is why the awakening is taking so long. People are connected to higher dimensions and yada, yada, yada. Positive energies. This is how you make your life better. It's how you accumulate all this money. And it doesn't really go anywhere. But how many are really ready to tap into? No, this is on an intuitive level. Some people already have that darkness. They already know what's here. They might not be ready to see it, but they know something's here. Yeah, it can get kind of spooky for some people, but normal for some of us. It's not for everybody, but some of us have actually come here to shut down the planet for various reasons. I'm going to go into that. It was my version of it, of how that would work, and we'll let you take your own point of view and whatever. Some aren't. I mean, really, people are not ready for this stuff. I mean, people aren't really ready for. I mean, some good amount are ready for the intuitive, psychic energy and all of that, spiritual, and that's good. But there's a whole nother level of just weird that's out there. They don't find on these regular channeling channel. They're not talking about insectoid beings manipulating people, or obviously there's a positive side. People just want to focus on the positive, but there's a darker side here that kind of has to get some attention for you to get out of this. Not that you have to be taken over by it, but at least be aware that's here. Just be aware that's enslaving the planet. I mean, people that's connected to human trafficking, and that's fine, but there's a whole nother layer here. So, like I said, this is not going to be for everybody. Then again, nothing I do is for everybody. But so we're going to go into that. Should be interesting. So this is not your normal shadow work. This is like it's like shadow work you go on for like 2 to 300 years try to heal, and still you get nowhere with it. So, or 1,000 years ago into healing. A lot of people don't have the guts to do things like this. Some of us do. Well, I'll go into that also. So it's been brought up here and there, but it's not something I like. People have been following my channel have heard it, but it's not something I broadcast very often. But for me to begin to talk about this is saying that it needs to come out, not just for my own healing, but the healing of others, and for progression of where get over, get out of the prison planet. Basically, I don't know if that's going to get us out of it, but who the hell knows? Everything is, well, it's something. Is the effort that matters. It's all about effort. Goes anywhere is, usually nothing ever goes anywhere, but we're about to find out. Just a quick update. So I got back late. I couldn't believe today, but today was just, anyways, private sessions. We have a shop here. Like I'm on the 29th for some people. Same situation here. Sign up for webinar. What is this? Social network. Rabbit, which I'm delaying for various reasons, but behind the scenes and dating site. And okay, so I don't know what I looked like, but we're going it was something similar to this, like a Thanos type, not exactly like that. You have a glove, but something similar to that. Somebody, I've been told I was something like that. So we'll just go with that. That's the best I can find of him. So that's close enough. So, this is part of a whole bunch of messed up. So I was connected. Yeah, it was fun. I was getting indications of this. But I was like, no, that wasn't me. And it's like, no, that's no. Well, at least part of this planet being enslaved. It's like, okay, maybe I was involved with it. It's like, sometimes you just gotta say hell with it. It's like, okay, fine. Talk about shadow work with that. That's like shadow work that goes on for like forever. So at least my connection, which I can remember, because I did some of this on the drive back from the day from hell. It was let's see. Basically, I would say it's Orion connected, but it might be other beings too. But it wasn't just me; it was a bunch of other beings. But you can say they saw Earth's potential. Now I'm like a channeling state right now, so and I'll go into the Pleiadians after all of this. But we're just also anyway, I'm remembering. And this stuff I don't even know. I'm going through what I just picked up on recently. So for Earth, it was like kind of like of course everyone has their own point of view, kind of off limits a little bit, like it was unusual. Nobody was here. There's some beings here, there's some stuff here, but it wasn't really cultivated. It wasn't really, didn't really have a civilization yet. So obviously there's other civilizations before Atlantis, but we're just going to do the Atlantis one right now. Whatever was before Atlantis, at least for me, it's been blocked for obvious reasons. So we'll just go by what I'm picking up here. So within our like Orion group, there was like a god or somebody we were looking up to, and like there was a relic on Earth of like, take over this planet or something like that, or this is part of your future or something like that. It's like a religious thing in some form or another. And it was like I believe there was actually artifacts here of like Orion artifacts. It was like even stone, some kind of stone, something like that was what they're showing me. So let's put it this way: Earth, there's nothing here, like just birds, nothing for the most part. So it was like waiting for somebody to show up to do their thing. From what I feel, Orion beings. Now you can take this however you want, but I believe the Atlanteans were invited here. Somehow. I believe the Orions are involved with it in some mischievous way, but it's like in a way where you can't see their darkness or something like that. Just hey, There's this planet because it feels like the Orions wanted to know the Atlantean technology, wanted them to build it up, to do everything they can with it, do whatever you want with it, and eventually got taken over. That was the plan from the start. But remember, that's patience. To just come on over, do whatever you want, and then just let them do their thing for as long as they need to. And then when they felt it's like now was the time, because I felt that there's a lot of let's do it now, let's take it over now. It's like no, we have to keep waiting. It's like others are kind of pushing for that, so just waiting until the right time came. I believe the pyramids are connected to it to some degree. It's kind of like traps. Like when the pyramids are brought here, it's like a way of trapping human consciousness here. Doing things with human consciousness that was never really thought of before. So you say the pyramid technology was something they didn't really understand the Atlanteans, or they thought they understood it. It was like a gift. Even I believe it was a gift from other Orion beings, actually. I don't have 100% on that, but it was like a gift, and then it ended up kind of being like a Trojan horse. And it ended up enslaving humans here. And so it took humans from a higher vibration, and they were at a higher this happened at a higher vibration. And they lowered them down to the third dimension so they could do all this. So they found ways of breaking humans down. It was not easy. So, not really. Somebody see it's easy. Some beings were easy, but most weren't. It's like trickery. It's like, how do you get people to self-destroy themselves? That's why they come up with a thing called rules. The rule, the king, isn't the king, queen have rules? Yeah. So that was like, even Anunnaki was used against Anunnaki here. Anunnaki is seen as this villain, but Anunnaki is kind of a puppet here. Yeah, what was done here was very sophisticated. It was to get the Earth's resources, because there was other beings that were protecting it. So you had to kind of like move in stealth to take it. So it's like, why are these beings protecting this world? It's supposed to be something here that other beings want. So to get it was to be inventive, to find, and then and that's where I see that Thanos thing. It's like they just moved in such a quiet way. Humans here, the ones that are protecting this world, did not see it coming. It's like when they finally realized it was being manipulated, it was too late. Some saw it, but didn't quite understand it. And they saw some darkness here. It's like, well, maybe it's nothing. Because they were being blocked. So it was really sophisticated on every type of level. But it was done, they just couldn't see who was manipulating society. They can feel it. Something was going on. But then when they're trying to get the source, like now, we can't really detect what's going on. So it's just done. It was like a kidnapping of a planet, you can say. Earth resources were polluted. They had to be. That was another thing that lowered the Earth's vibration. Death, murder, obviously war, that lowered the Earth's vibration. So the first war, that was, I believe, the Atlantean War, but I believe there's others, but mostly the Atlantean War, was to take an Atlantean being and turn it against others, which was not. Now, actually, that was not easy. That was what I'm gathering. It's like taking like a son of like a wealthy, like a powerful king, and turning the son against the father, kind of like a King Arthur thing in some regard, and just stripping it down and taking the father's power, taking the sister hostage, things like. Really just something you would see in a movie. At least that's the energy I'm getting from that. One of the hierarchies in Atlantis. So of course there was many of others, but to kind of start a Trojan War, you can say. Kind of like that. It's like, here's a bunch of nice things and all this, like the son of the king was like all of a sudden wearing all his fancy jewels and all that, because he was weak, basically. It was just, he had his own selfishness, so he kind of just used that. Well, that was the time of Atlantis when they were at a higher vibration, but they were kind of declining a little bit. So darkness was coming in, so they take that darkness and make it worse. So, and take all the energy crystals and use it against people also. Like get rid of the de-aging ability, where they can't, when they start aging more. So you hit it with everything you got. As well by will, of course, all the beings that came here to manipulate society or humanity were all taught how to do it. Like reptilian beings, there's a verse, but basically they're taught how to what it's like. It's kind of like a black ops project where they're like specific ones are trained how to do this. Like it's like you train them on another planet to make sure and test them to make sure they do this right. And you had plenty of time. And Atlanteans are all happy eating grapes and everything's great. And how to get to the higher vibrations and lower it down. So I was aware of the higher vibrations, how they did that technologies, etc. They had ways of doing it. Wizards they used to see the higher vibrations and know how to break it down. So but basically to take down the Earth was, like you say, just shadow black ops. Like when they have like a fake city and they go through it and they, you can see on, if you're interested in that, like an army that goes in, invades a little fake town just to test things out. Same thing. Similar to that, obviously, but probably more sophisticated, but close enough. So there's a lot of reptilian beings were the best because they kept themselves cloaked, or other beings. And I do see that some humans that were used, some were Pleiadian, but they're like clones used against Atlanteans. So clones were used back then. So you have somebody that's really respected, and you clone them without their knowledge, and then you use that person against society too. And that happened a lot too. Like I say, hit them with everything they got. With just, it's like when you hit them like that, it's like you hit them on every area where it's like, what do you do with this? It's like, especially when you get those in a higher position at a darker level where they become psychotic, within Atlantean city, then you definitely want it. Because then they start attacking others, something around those lines. Uh, so it's all about psychology of how to get into the mind of how. So if you're like a Orion being, that you're kind of a fourth dimensional being, very powerful, but you can't always see the higher dimensions. Yeah, so you use a wizard to help you see these things. And you use your powers to combine powers to see the higher vibrations, even if you don't see everything, but you see enough of how to take it down. So, and then of course you go to the Earth's axis and you shift the Earth's axis, where it's not the same vibration anymore. So you find a way for it to break itself down. And the moon, I don't believe I was involved with that, from what I can see, but the moon was other beings, or other Orion beings that created your current environment. But basically, it was one of the things was as much blood as you can muster up, as much death as you can bring here. Of course, that continued on with the Earth wars on the planet. Just to find some reason to have a war, just like a Iraq war. You can say it's kind of like making no sense. They don't have to make any sense as long as it's happening. Like even the news doesn't have to make any sense either. As long as they're lowering the vibration, who cares? Who cares if anybody believes in it? It doesn't really matter. It gets people attacking each other. The same tactics are being used today. So all this is being revealed. Of course, there's a lot more to it than that, but it's like the basics version of it. For where you're going next of healing these situations. They show dinosaur energies, but they're not going into detail of where that. Well, they're here, obviously. Well, you say dinosaur beings have been weaponized, as you can probably tell. Vibrationally, some have been used against the planet or humans and so forth. Well, I believe that, like the Greeks, there were some dinosaurs still here. Like I feel like the Greeks had interaction with them. Because I believe the dragons were here too, but they're not showing me that at this time. So it just gives you a little bit of input. So obviously, war, basically, we're a war planet. Obviously, that kept everything at a low vibration, but to damage nature, mostly the oceans, was the salt in the oceans that had a lot to do with it. Not go into details of how that happened. That's kind of like a secret. Some of that came from Mars. Some Martian technologies were involved with. I mean, even Martians were used against the planet. Even some Venus beings were used. So it was not all Martians, but some to do everything they, and then things got complicated as all these other beings got involved, of course. But the one thing was, one of the others was to create a kind of like kingship, like a king or some dictator. Uh, like they had that in Egypt. Yeah, the pharaohs, obviously. When the pharaohs began, that's pretty much the end of it all. I believe there were other pharaohs that have not been mentioned that have been erased, and some of them, yeah, were very galactic. And that doesn't mean they were bad, but they're very alien. But they weren't like dictators. They're just like teachers, and then it became a dictatorship later on. Yeah, it was more just a teacher being just, well, to fend off the negativity that was going on. I mean, it was like a swarm. Like when the negativity is hitting, it's like a swarm of insects. It's like there's once it comes in, it's hard to get rid of it. Yes, and it also caused the insects are part of the plagues, which also cause death. So that was the other thing, was to weaponize the insect beings, even using Atlantean technologies to once again cause disease to wipe out Atlanteans in another way. And I believe actually disease was a big part of Atlantean deaths also in the early stages of it to lower the vibrations. So just little pieces one after. Obviously not going into full detail, but yeah, definitely showing insects being weaponized. So it gives you a little bit. So obviously, when you go through these type of things, why you would do it? Because you've been raised to do it. This is the beginning of the universe. You're here to create. You're here to conquer, to take down the weak. You're here to just sow strength, but also to build cities, realities, build. And this world was very different from others that have been conquered, because others were easier than this one. This one was not that easy. It's very unique because of its just the way the planet was created. It's just yeah, uniqueness is all through it. So humans here are very unique. And of course, when you weaponize a human and turn it against each other and shut it down, as many are shut down now, as you know, they take it dearly. They humans are kind of weaponized to a certain degree, at least in their belief systems, to keep them in the third dimension mentality. In some regards, probably a better word for that, but yeah, it's like how can you get a human collective to follow, a dictator or something like that, just to break it down. And that's like the death of the higher vibrations. Just when humans lose faith in themselves, and because of plagues and death and just wars and just it's like what do we do? It's like because when you're wiping out all the higher vibrational beings, uh, obviously not all of the higher vibrational beings were wiped out, but quite a few of them were. Others create other civilizations, of course, until they get wiped out, because it was inevitable. It was going to find them eventually. It was difficult to keep their vibrations high, so they kind of just died out with their kind. At least that's a version. Were a lot of elongated head beings back then too. So, but once again, why would beings do this from Orion? Sinister beings that just power hungry at a sickening level. Yeah, just like power sickness, like beyond what this world can, even humans here can even perceive. Just one power of the planet itself. Um, they couldn't destroy the planet. I don't believe it ever really came close. I mean, yes, but no, because of its resource, because how it's connected to other planets. It just has a connection to other worlds. I'm not going into details why. Just it is an important place. It just not always seen that way. Well, because it's so shut down from the universe. I mean, that itself shows us how unique it is. Because most worlds don't stay shut down this long. They stay closed down for quite a long time. But it's rare for them to be disconnected from the universe as much as this one is. It finds every excuse to be shut down from it. So that's just a glimpse into all that. We're going to Pleiadian vibrations. And see where we get with that. Greetings. We are the Pleiadians. So you wonder why certain alien beings want to conquer a world like yours to prove to their family they can do so. It all comes down to family, doesn't it? Especially when you get along with your family. As some of you have already made that connection with the Orions, where there was a part of the Orion family that they felt neglected. They felt they were treated that they were lower than other Orion beings. Because Orion beings were the main families were very positive, very powerful, positive, full of enlightenment. And there was a group of Orion beings that were younger, the children, that were just kind of spoiled, rotten, but also had a darkness about them where they felt like they were gods and it would be gods of other worlds. But to show their family they are powerful after all, because they're not going by the same traditions as their other family members. Kind of like think of them as like being emo, you can say. Some of them are wizard beings, some of them are elf beings. There's a lot of wizardry there. Well, they had a different type of power. Now, I'm not going into detail where that power came from, but the younger Orions just had abilities that the elders did not. And well, the elders are very, very powerful, kind of like gods, but they didn't act like gods. They weren't like creating humans left and right. No, but they were very just neutral, godlike, peaceful. But it is similar to a lot of your Star Wars, where it's just there's a dark energy that is born that just feels like it can have it all. You can call it a sickness, call it mental illness, call it whatever you want. But yes, they found reptilian drones. Actually, reptilians were known as builders, similar to the Masons, but in a positive way. They weren't seen as slaves. Of course, the Ryans made them into slaves. Took away a lot of their mental powers, as they do with humans. It took away knowledge and just said, "This is your knowledge, just like humans. This is all you know. You know what we tell you, and go do what we want you to do. And we'll feed you, take care of you." Doesn't that sound familiar? Sounds like your world. Yeah, we'll take care of you as long as you do what we say. So they have a job to take over planets. And when those planets are taken over, it showed off to the Orion group. And Orion, of course, the Orion families are just devastated. It's like, this is really happening. It's like, and the Orion being the positive family, never thought their family, yes, their children to act in such a way. Just it's like we're not used to something like this. I mean, there are other alien races, but it's like the Dark Orions, there's like cancers. Like once they have it, they took it to a whole nother level. Well, they already blacked out many other planets also to make it difficult to attach or to stop them. Even the Arcturians had problems because they learned how the Arcturians work too. They found the vulnerabilities of many alien beings, especially the Arcturians. They turned a lot of Arcturians against each other. Now that's very superior. Yeah, that's not easy to do. Well, they had to outsmart the Arcturians because they were protecting the Earth. So they had to find a way to find weak spots within their society. They're not going to go into the details of that, but that took a long time to figure out. Well, also, when you come off as a positive Orion and hide your intentions, which they did, and the Arcturians did not see it until it was too late. Because you can take an Arcturian being, similar to you take a human and you turn it around to be darker. You can do the same thing with Arcturians. It's not that easy. Now, not many. It doesn't always work with many Arcturians. Many kind of just disappear, die, or go to another dimension or somewhere. But some do have, they find the darkness within the soul, and then they use it against them. Like I say, understand Arcturians took a very long time to master that because they knew they can be defeated by them. But when you get Arcturians fighting against each other, it's a different story. So this planet has many complexities. So with now you don't just have human wars here, you have alien wars here, and that's why your world is so dense. Not that aliens are constantly fighting with each other, but there is a war. It's just not the war that you might always imagine what's going on. It's like a psychological war, you can say. And the beings, the Orion beings, and other beings that are here know exactly. It's like you're making Diet Coke or making Coca-Cola. You know the recipe. So the recipe of turning humans against each other and dividing humans has been already created and kept secret of how to do it. Some beings have kind of figured out how it's being done, but not always successful in how to reverse it. Especially when a human's already made their decision. So you can say the secret sauce is getting humans to go against each other, which has been done for thousands of years. So how do you heal that right away? Not easily. There are ways, but you can say that release of those manipulations are happening now. Maybe not to the extent that you feel like it might not happen at the speed that you're looking for, but it is on its way. But there are many manipulations here that Orion beings, all different type of beings, are using against humans to keep you part of this reality, because they don't want you to know the story of how this all happened. Or you might connect to different versions of it, and there's nothing wrong with that. At least you're connecting to it if you're ready for it, especially when you find it within yourself as defending this earth or causing difficulties here. Whatever it is, that position will become more clear when the time is right. It's like another awakening. You have multiple awakenings. The awakening of what your position here on the planet. If you feel like you're somebody important, not that you're everybody's important, but some people feel like, they've actually had a huge influence in some form. Most likely you did. Blessings.